Now let's have an example. We have already learned how to operate with strings, how to open files. So now we'll take an example where we are going to open a file. We are going to processing on the strings inside the file. Some mathematical operations are as well, and then we'll write the output file. So let's see the question first. So here I have a data set. This is a dataset underscore one.txt file which contains some random names, and there are some marks of some subjects. Let's say some random subjects marks are there. Now what we are going to do is we have to find out the total of each individual, and then we want it to be printed in a separate file. So here, suppose if I consider this first case Mikkel, in that case I want the sum of all his 4 subjects, put that sum, and along with that I'll put a average marks of Mikkel. Same way I'll do for all the other students. So what I'm going to do is first I'll read this file, then I'll separate out each and every student, and then I'll process on each and every mark. I'm going to do sums, do average, and then I'll produce my results in this way. So let's see how to do this. So first of all, I have to open my file. So we know that to open the file, I have to write some variable name is equal to open and the file name. Now here again the directory is C user Charusat desktop EE284, and if we go to the directory, I have this dataset one already there. This is my dataset one. Okay, so I'm going to open dataset underscore one dot txt. I just want to read this file, so I am not going to do a write argument here. I am reading this file only. Okay, now as soon as this command runs, it will open the dataset. Now I want to check whether the dataset is correct or not, line by line. So I will go through the file using for loop for I in data print I. Okay. Now let's run this code and see what are the results. There is an error with I. Okay, sorry. I should put it in here. So here you can see it is printing each data line by line. Now what you want is you want to process on this data. So right now when I print I, you can see this whole single line is printed. So this line is considered as a one string. If I assign it to somewhere, I'll have a string, let's say a is equal to print I. Let's say a is equal to I. I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to print value of a. Let's see value of a. Now if you see, the value of a is Francisca 10, 22, 48 and 17, and you can see this. That means this whole line is considered as a single string. So this is a one string. So whenever you run this loop, it will give you one single string. So each line is considered as one single string. Now what I have to do is I have to separate out this as a string, this as integer, this one as integer, and this two are as integer as well. Then and then I can do some of this. So I have to separate this out, the name and the marks in integer format. The name is in string format. I need that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a split command. We know what split command does. Let's see. If I write a is equal to split, I dot split method on string. So I is a string, and I'm going to apply the split command on the string. So what it will do is it will separate out wherever there is a white space. will separate out wherever there is a white space. Let's say I am going to print A after each execution. So let us see what happens. Now you can see it has given me list, but each time A is updated, that's why I get a new list each time. But each time when a split command works, at that time it separate out this nickel, then there is a white space, that's why it is a new element in the list: 18, 47, 33 and 11. Now we have separate data set. Now we can do some other trick and we can convert this strings, this marks, in integer format. So what I'm going to do is, I'll first create a empty list where I can store these names and this individual marks. So let's have an example. Let us say I create a list that contains name only. I create a list that contains the marks of math subject, a list with the science subject, a list for physics, and a list for chemistry. Okay. And when I split this, at that time a list A is created. Now again A is list and I know the elements of A. So first element is always the name. That means this is the 0th element and it is always a name. The data set is predefined, so I can analyze on the data set and you can pre-analyze, like each name has the 4 marks, so it is easy to process that. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to first take the element 0 out of list A. So if I write, let us say, name dot append A of 0, what will happen if I write this? It will immediately create a new entry in the list name in this list. And what would be that entry? That would be A of 0. Now what is A? So A is updating each time, but A of 0 is always this name, first name, like Mikkel, Martha or Katrina or Charlotte. So whenever I run this command with A of 0, what it will do is it will create a list of names. Let's run this command and I'll show you the output. Okay, I'm going to print a name. It is not visible. I am entering command name and I am printing this name. So now you can see I have a separate entry of all the names. Okay. Same way I can separate out the other elements as well. What I should do here is, instead of name, now the second entry, this entry is of subject maths, this of physics, this of some other subject, and this is some of other subject. So I know that now how that works. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to append next entry in the subject of math. Which element I want to append is element 1 of each person. So I'm going to write A1. Same way I'll do it for the other subjects. Okay, here it would be 2, here it would be 3, and here it would be 4. But each time I have to append in separate. This would be science, this would be physics, and this would be chemistry. Now if I run this command, now let's print what is inside name. Let's print the subject math marks. Now if you see, element 0 of the name and element 0 of the math would be marks of Mikkel and marks of Mikkel here. Okay, though in name list you have element 0 as a Mikkel, so this is Mikkel. And if I run the command on math, then element 0 is 18. So you can see Mikkel has 18 marks. Same way if you want to check for other subject, let's say science, so you can get 47. Let's say physics, let's say chemistry. So you can see 18, 47, 33 and 11 are separated here. 18, 47, 33 and 11. So in each marks matrix or marks list, I have element 0 is for Mikkel, then for Martha 38, 8, 2 and 16. So you can see that. So this format was in rows and now I have converted it in column base. So these are the name of the column, like this is the name, this is the math marks, this is the physics, chemistry and science or vice versa. Okay, so I have separated it out. Now the next thing is, if you look at here, you can see this is still string and you know that I cannot process on string. Let's have an example. Now I have separate entries. Now what I want to do is I want to add the marks of each subject. So again I'm going to run. Now where I want to run is on this list, on each list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a total new list named as total and I'm going to feed a total inside there. So total is again a blank list and here I'll run this command up to where? Up to the length of this. I have to consider all the names or all the students. So these are the students, so I have to take care of all the students. So I have to find out the length of name, or length of any subject will be suffice as well, but I'll go with length of name. But if I write this, you know that nothing will happen. This will just give me length of the list name. But what I don't want to do is I want to run the for loop up to that length. So I'm going to do it on using a range. Now I'm going to append total marks. Let us say t is equal to t is the total, and I'm going to do total of math of I plus science of I plus physics of I plus chemistry of I. So what this will do now? So for each, let's print I along with this and see what it does. I'm going to print I. I'm going to print name of I. This is just for troubleshooting, that you can understand what I am doing right now. Math of I, and here I'm going to print total as well. Okay, let's run this and see what is the output. Now you can see here for first execution at that time, as I have used ren command, by default it will start with 0 because I do not have a starting point here. So it will start with 0, print of 0, the print of I, print I, that means it will print 0 because I value is 0 right now, so it has printed 0. Now what is it is doing? Fetching from the list. So here the name list is fetch name of I, so I is 0, so name of 0, so it is Mikkel. Math of 0, it is marks of Mikkel, as we see here. This is the entry 0 of name, this is entry 0 of math, so it is 18. Vice versa, for same will happen with science, physics and chemistry. So what I have done here is I have add all that marks using variable t. In t I have done addition on all these marks, all of this first column. Okay, so that this first column is related to Mikkel, so I have done an addition. But as soon as I run this command and then I'm printing t, so this is the t, and if you see this value of t, it shows me 18, 47, 33 and 11. That means it has concatenation. This is a concatenation operation. Why? Because if you see here, this all marks are in string format and not in integer. That's why strings are concatenated and I have this kind of result. But instead of this, I need a result which should be an integer. So what I have to do? I have to convert this in integer. And that can be done by two ways. First, I write integer here. Now you have to write integer for separate element. If you do this, see what happens. Again this same thing will happen. Why? Because I do not convert this individual into string, but what I have done, first I have concatenation operation and then I am converting this in integer, so it is wrong. What I have to do actually is I have to separately convert each element, or else what you can do is, the easiest way is, when I'm appending that in the list, at that time I can convert each element into integer by writing integer here. Okay. So I'm going to do that, and let's see what happens. Now when I run this command, let's print math as well. Let's print first name. Let's print math subject mark. Let's print science subject mark. Now if you see this, now that single quotes are removed from here. Why? Because I have converted it in integer. That's why the entries are in list is in integer format, and this all these entries are in integer format. But make sure not to do that with name. If I write here, it will try to convert a string into integer, and you will get a respect error. So now, as these entries are converted into integer, now if I perform this operation, automatically I'll get total in here. Like for Mikkel an example, I have printed 109. Now let's check whether it is correct or not. So this is the actual data set. Let me have a calculator. And let us see. 18 plus 47 plus 33 plus 11. And it is 109. So this result is correct. So this way you can do operation. Now again, this is a separate entry, individual entry. At the end of the process, I have to again write this data set into a new file. I have to process this data and I have to print a separate file where I have a total and an average. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to append this total in this list of total. So I'm going to do total.append of t. Now if I run this command, what will happen? So each entry is now stored in a list. So this is total of each student. This is total of each student. Okay. Now I can same way perform an average operation. Now I know that there are 4 subjects, so the average would be total divided by 4. So I can do t by 4. And I have to create a blank list of average as well. So I'm going to do that. Average is equal to this. Okay. We're going to run this, and if you see the average, you can see the average of each student. Let's verify that as well. Calculator. Nickel was 109 divided by 4, that is 27.25. Is correct. So now I have a list with the name, list with the each subject mark, list with the total, and list with the average. Each elements belong to a single student. Like element 0 of all this matrix is for same student. Element 1 of the all this matrix, all this list would be to the second student, and so on and so forth. So I have all my data. Now I want to write that data. So how to write that data is the next question. So before writing data, I have to create a window where I am going to write data. So let's say I have a file where I am going to write my data. Let us say that is file data set underscore total. This is the file name, the extension is txt, and I want to write there. So I'm going to write a w, and then what I'm going to do next is for I in range, which range I'm going to go again the same range, because I want to print all of the students data. So I'm going to through this line range. Now I'm going to remove this two command paste. Now I have to write each and every entry inside my text file. We know that what is the command. Command is data write dot write. This is the file name, or this is the variable name, and this is the method. Data write, we know that how to write a data. If I write name of I here, it will enter name inside the list, and at the end I have to close the list. Data write dot close. Okay, I have run this command. Now let's check. See, this file is created, and I'm going to run this, and now you can see there is entry of each student like Mikkel, Martha, Katrina, Charlotte. I have just entered the name here. I just entered the name here. That's why I can see that entry. But we want to enter each and every element here. So next entry would be of total. Next entry would be of average. And now if I run this command, I'll now see there is an error. This is an error. Right argument must be string, not integer. And here total is an integer, average is an integer. That's why I have to convert it to string before entering it into right operation. So I am going to convert it here string, and I'm going to run this command. Now you can see command has run. Again I have to run this command because this file is open. I'm going to run this command one more time, and now we'll see the results. This is the file data set total. Now you can see the Mikkel is 109, then there is this average, then there is Martha is total 64, but this is very messed up results. I want it to format it. I want to format it. So how to do that? We know how to do a concatenation. So we are going to add a space in between each name and marks, and we need each entry in new line. So how to do that? So instead of doing this separately, first I'll create a string named as entry that I want to enter. This is just a variable name. I'm going to first write name of I. So here it is Mikkel, plus I need a space, plus I need total of Mikkel in string. So total, okay, concatenation again one more space, again I need average in string, but if I write this is an integer, so I have to convert it to string, and followed by I need a new line, so I will add /n. This is a new line character, and I am going to write this inside my text file. So data write and I am going to enter entry. Okay, I am printing here as well. Okay, what is the entry? Just for your reference, like if I do this, what happens? So I am printing entry here. So you can see it is creating this Mikkel space 109 space 27. So this is the average, this is total, and this is the name. And at the end, I have a new line character. That's why it has created a new line. Okay. Now print by default adds a new line character, so there is two line. And if you look at the data set, let us see the data set. Do this again. if you see this data set, you can see a pretty clear result: nickel followed by space, followed by total, followed by space, followed by average. And now this is same as I've shown you here. So this way you can create a program which will open file, which will process on file, which will convert string to integer, integer to string wherever needed, and at the end I get my results. This is the way to do it. If you remove this entry, then nothing will be there. This program will just run and you will get your output like this. Okay. That's all for this lecture. Now if you do not have Python at your home and you want to run this program, this is possible with the online tool as well. Let's run demo. Now if I copy paste my program here, this is my program and I'm pasting this program and I'm trying to run this program. See what will happen. See, it has a traceback, and what is this traceback? File not found. So it do not find it is not able to find this file with this file dataset.1.txt that we open in the first line. So there is no directory here because this is the online tool. But here there is a way to do this. You can see this file section here. This file section is for that purpose. If you add this file over here, you can do this task. Okay, let us add that file. This is the file dataset1. I am adding the file, and now I am trying to running this code, and this code is run, and you can see this file is created dataset.total. If I open this file, you can see this same result. Okay, let's change some entry. Let us say this is 50, this is again 50, and I'm going to, so I have, let us say all are 50s. It would be easy to average it out. So total would be 200 and average would be 50. I will run this code. Let's see the result. Okay, you can see this result 250. So whenever you change the data set and run your code again, accordingly the result will change in the output file.